Alright, so this is a suggestion via a donation. Now, the name of the video is Girls Did All These Things in the 1970s. Alright. Let's check it out. It's coming from the channel Recollection Road.
Life in the 1970s was special to say the least. As
Okay.
parents were struggling to put food on the table and fill up their gas tanks, young people were busy living their life and living in the moment. Girls especially were busy during this decade, and their lives were filled with moments that were common to many others during this time. So let's take a look back at things that all girls did back in the 1970s. The 1970s brought the world of Laura Ingalls Wilder to life with the show Little House on the Prairie. The pioneer spirit could be found throughout the decade, with young girls being dressed in pioneer-style clothing, from pajamas with matching bonnets to the ruffled plaid shirt with the high neck. These outfits had young girls believing they too could have survived the Oregon Trail, and it
I'm sorry to tell you right now that if you think that you could have survived the Oregon Trail, you probably would have had dysentery. I'm telling you. Yeah.
also had them absorbing all the books in the Little House on the Prairie series. Women in the 1970s loved their blue eyeshadow. The look added some glam to the otherwise natural tones that dominated the 1970s. The blue eye shades were a holdover from the 1960s, where we saw Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra and Andy Warhol paint his famous Blue Marilyn painting. The trend became even bigger with girls in the 70s. The key difference is that the 70s had disco, which quickly embraced the vibrant color and coupled it with metallic finishes.
Okay. Guys, luckily I was born way after this era, right? And so I'm kind of happy based off of what I've heard audibly from the era. I'm glad I wasn't there.
Rediscover your past by digitizing
Don't get me wrong, ABBA and ABBA was great though. ABBA was
your
great.
family's memories with Legacy Box. Watch until the end of this video to find out more about preserving your legacy, and then visit legacybox.com/recollection.
There was just a lot of narcotics from what I've seen. Yeah, not for me.
Halter tops and hip huggers also took center stage, with girls wanting to express a bit of freedom and rebellion during this time. These outfits, which exposed the midriff and highlighted curvy hips, were perfect for the dance floor, especially when getting down to the trendy new dances like the bump, the hustle, and the YMCA dance. The culture of the decade made dancing essential, and it had many girls rehearsing their moves as if they were becoming the next solid gold dancer. As women were becoming more and more independent, Hollywood followed and produced shows that were reflective of the times. Two popular shows that many women watched in the 70s highlighted working women and the inequalities they experienced. The Mary Tyler Moore Show was one of the most loved shows of all time, and featured
Mary
a single
Tyler
woman in her
Moore.
30s working for a TV station. Alice featured a single mother supporting herself and her son by working in a diner, opposite a chauvinistic boss. Both shows appealed to women and brought attention to the trials that they were facing. When Charlie's Angels debuted, it had both men and women watching, for clearly different reasons. Women of the 1970s
Right. I'm sure.
couldn't get enough of Farrah Fawcett's hair. The feathered and flip back look was something that every girl from that time tried to imitate. With a blow dryer and some hairspray, girls could achieve that signature look that became a definitive style from this decade. If you were one of the girls that adored Farrah Fawcett and her look, you might have owned the Lady Chic Speed Styler. This was endorsed by the superstar and made achieving her classic look even easier. Girls all over the country bought
Let me guess. She was a heavy early investor in this.
the device, which was a combination of a dryer and a hairstyler, and it made mastering that feathered hair look even easier. The 1970s in general was a big decade for beauty supplies. Shampoos like Prel, Herbal Essence, Lemon Up, and Gee, Your Hair Smells Terrific are just a few of the many options that women had for washing their hair. On top of the fragrant shampoos, there was Love's Baby Soft that made young girls smell like baby powder, and Bonnie Bell Lip Smackers, which added a glossy shine to your lips while satisfying your taste buds with a variety of flavors.
Wild times, guys.
The epitome of daring fashion in the 1970s has to be the hot pants. These tight,
pants.
shorty shorts showcased legs for days, making a bold statement anywhere they were worn, which contributed to their name. They were the center of so many heated societal debates.
I can imagine. I'm telling you right now, it's pretty obvious. If this is what hot pants are, then yeah, this was probably really rough for many people to encounter, specifically in the 70s, most likely the early 70s. Coming out of the 60s, yeah.
That they earned the name hot pants. The fashion trend was another way for women to liberate their bodies and show off more skin.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand that. Someone's got to explain how wearing no clothes is freedom. Please help me understand that. I do not understand that.
Teenagers' bedrooms during the 1970s were often plastered with posters. For teenage girls, it was often posters taken from their favorite teen heartthrob magazine, Tiger Beat. There was Sean Cassidy, David Cassidy, Leif Garrett, and Scott Baio, among others. And these teen idols were often papering the walls of bedrooms across the country. Girls couldn't wait to get the next issue, so they could start clipping pictures out of it to completely cover their walls.
So they're basically making collages.
The 1970s was a popular time for teenagers to hang out at a roller skating rink. But as disco came onto the scene, roller disco became all the rage. Skating went from being a pretty leisurely and fun way to spend an evening with friends to a sweaty dance party that went well into the morning hours. This was especially true in larger cities, but even small-town roller rinks were spinning disco records as teenage girls sang along as they circled the rink. During the 1970s, sewing was still an important life skill passed down from mothers, and it was also reinforced in home economics classes in high school. Girls were taught early on how to sew on a button, stitch on a patch, or mend a hole. This also led to them learning how to use a sewing machine, which allowed them to create handmade outfits.
Hey, listen, that's a great trait to have. Seriously.
For many girls in the 1970s, Judy Blume provided a roadmap for navigating those awkward younger years. Books like Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing, and Blubber were all standard reading for young people. Usually, the occasional school book fair was a perfect opportunity to pick up one of these books. And with over 82 million...
Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. What could that be about, guys? Maybe self-improvement in oneself, making yourself feel better about whatever situation you're currently in. You may feel like you're nothing, but you're actually something. Could be that, I'm guessing.
In copies of Judy Blume books being sold, it's safe to say that lots of girls were reading these books.
Okay.
Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to sign up for the Recollection Road newsletter using the link in the description.
Okay. Guys, really quickly, I think the only thing that really stood out to me was probably the hot pants thing. I'm not sure how that went. Like, that's almost frightening to imagine. Like, you know, from dressing extremely formal and casual, most likely that's how I kind of envision the 60s and late 60s, extremely formal, right? To basically showing your posterior everywhere you go. I'm sure that's an interesting thing to explain to your parents. I am sure. Okay. I would have loved to be there. Well, not really there, but just like get a visual of what that was like. Cause I'm sure that was crazy. All right. Now in the United States of America, I don't think it's as bad as it is in Europe, guys. Because like every time summer hits in like the south of Spain, everyone comes out with those hottest. Now they're called hot pants. I called them something else. Okay, we're going to go forward and they're going to be called hot pants. And these women are, very, shapely, generally, everyone in south of Spain. And they wear these things, and it doesn't look like they're really wearing anything. And I can only imagine how that, first of all, no, I don't have to imagine. I can look at the older men in absolute disgust every single time they see this. So I can just imagine what it was like in the United States of America, specifically late 60s, early 70s, trying to explain to your parent, most likely born in like 1930s, that you're going to go outside showing your posterior and your stomach off. That's crazy. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.